today I'm going to talk about John Constable, the artist. He's my inspiration today. John Constable, one of the great British artists from 200 years ago, the same period as Turner. And he painted in 1821 the Hay Wain. You've seen that picture of the cart going through the water. Look it up on the internet. The Hay Wain. John Constable, an East Anglian painter from Suffolk, and he lived in the Vale of Dedham and painted around his village of East Bergholt. And the thing that I love about this fella is that he just saw inspiration right outside his window. It's always there. Right outside your window there will be something to see and something to paint. He was born in 1776, so he's in his 40s before he sold his very first painting in 1819. So he's been painting all his life and getting nowhere with it, and suddenly around about 200 years ago, 1821, he started to be recognised for his art. And he painted these lovely scenes of East Anglia, Suffolk, absolutely glorious. They're in all the national galleries around the world. But his particular passion was the sky. What? Why would you paint the sky? Because he says it's always changing. Just look up. Oh wow. On his honeymoon, he painted this. This is Weymouth Beach. It's a great beach and it looks exactly the same now. That's exactly how it looks today. But look at those clouds. They're enormous. Fabulous. I love the idea he spent his honeymoon painting this. There are other things to do on your honeymoon, you know, John. I think you got the idea. He had 7 kids. So presumably there wasn't much TV around in 1820. But I love his paintings of clouds, and he would date them. He'd do these paintings and he'd say, here's the painting on Thursday the 21st at 11 AM, and he'd take out paper or small boards and paint in oils on plein air outside. Hello Lynn. Sorry, just a little interruption here. Hello, Lynn Roberts. Do you remember my dad, Roy, who gave you your first cock of tea? I do. I certainly do. I talk about that, how good that was in my book, Utterly Brilliant, My Life's Journey. Have you read it yet? Have you? You can get it online at all great booksellers. Okay, just a little reminder. It's worth reading, and tell me all about it and how you're getting on with it. In fact, you can get them online at timmymallett.co.uk/shop. Exactly. Right. Who else have we got? Good morning, Gareth Morgan. How are you? Morning, Gareth. Right. Show you what I'm going to do. Inspired by... Oh, that's my phone. Sorry about that. If you hear a noise going, it's my phone. Right, that's the picture there. Those are the clouds that inspired me. So let's have a go at how John Constable would paint. I'm looking for something, hang on. Right, a little bit of this stuff. Here's my palette. A little bit of that, that's just the thing to mix the paints with. If you're wondering what that noise is, it's the train! The train! That'll be the 8:15. Heading to nowhere, going round and around and around. I prepped this board with a burnt umber. It's a piece of board today, not a canvas. Right, good morning. if you're watching, anything interesting happening, tell me about it. Right, let's crack on. This scrubbing of the paint is a technique that was well used by Turner. Turner's a contemporary of what's his name? That's a messy brush. Oh yeah, yeah. That's going everywhere. I'm going to put that like that. That's a better brush. I'll get some blue into there. A bit of grey. Mix it with a spot of alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson, a very useful colour, mixed with some Tarlo or Iridian blue. Now, oil paints are nice and forgiving. You will see as this progresses. I'm doing an interesting thing here. I'm just using the same brush. Other people would mix their brushes up and try and keep them clean. But because the sky and the clouds in particular are always moving, I don't think that matters too much. I'm quite comfortable with that. Right, let me have a little dollop of blue into here. I want to know where my bits of blue are. Right, is that, no, that's the turquoise blue. I don't want that one. I want, well, let's try a little bit of this colour here. It's interesting painting. There's a difference to painting on a board to painting on a canvas or indeed on paper. Who have we got down there? Beautiful colour, says Kelly. Thank you very much. Yay, Lynn. Good. Glad you are, girl. Glad you are. You go and order my books straight away. So, a little bit of the highlight of the blue, and you'll see how this comes in a minute. Right. I'm just leaving that there so I know where the stay bits are going to come through. Where's that other brush gone? I didn't like that one. This is the one I was using, wasn't it? Let me have a little look. Buff. Pale greys. One of the good things with painting like this is that your eyes do some of the work here. Your eyes fill in the drama of the sky. We have great skies in England. Never ever think that our skies are boring, because they're not. They're fantastic. And the reason for that is where we are in the world and the shape of Britain. How can the shape of a country make that difference? I'll tell you why. We have the jet stream. The jet stream comes across the Atlantic and it swirls around, right around into the West Country, into Cornwall, Ireland, Wales. Around the tip of Scotland you get these lovely climactic conditions along the Moray Firth, along the top northeast coast of Scotland. But as soon as that hits the land, those clouds hit the land, bush, there's the rain. And the rain gives us the colours of Britain. We have some really good colours. We have colours in every season. And right now, the daffodils are just brilliant. If on your daily exercise you go anywhere near to come out in April and they're at their peak in May, you'll see right now that last week's bright sunshine has created quite an impact in those fields, and things are moving along dramatically day by day. Every single day we get something different, and this is why Constable painted the sky. There's always an image to paint. I've always got something to deliver. I'm getting a bit of drama here in the sky. You'll see what's going to happen in a minute. Enjoying this. Right, some bright whites. And then some of this. What I call, what's known as buff titanium. I keep it on thickly on the board, and it will have quite a long time drying. This is good news, having it a long time drying, because it means that I can come back to it over and over and work on these things, and I do. So when I'm painting here now, you get to a stage where then you come back and work on them again. So I was doing some painting last week, and those paintings are waiting to see if things are going to dry a little bit. Right, send me a message, tell me where you're watching this morning. I'm interested. Kim Sanderson. We all have the time in the world. Yeah, we do have the time in the world right now. We do. We've got the time. So use it. I've been thinking about this and wondering whether there's a set of paintings to be done of springtime arriving in Britain. Because that's no good for you, Terry, in Brisbane, because you've got autumn arriving. Actually, you don't get autumn in Queensland. You get two seasons, don't you? You get the wet and you get the dry. And it's coming into your lovely, beautiful, dry season, isn't it? Haven't you finished the wet yet? The wet's over in far north Queensland? Should be. And then you get that beautiful dry season where it delivers all sorts of lovely things in Queensland. Talk about that too in Utterly Brilliant My Life's Journey. Gareth Morgan is watching this morning in the bath. That's brilliant, matey. Okay, cover up. Right, what have we got down here? Brad Godson. What have you painted to me? What do you mean, what have you painted to me? To me, to you, to me, to you. Right, we're getting some drama into this sky. Some beams of light coming down here. Now this particular view has as a view of nearby Maidenhead, which is quite interesting at the moment because there's a load of high-rise, loads of cranes in the sky. There's a massive load of building going on to take advantage of Crossrail. Well, that's the idea, you know, that everybody was going to move to Maidenhead because Crossrail's there. It means you can get into the city fast and stuff. Of course, all of that may change. Now we are living and working from home. But you'll see how I'll bring that in just a minute. Quite a bit of drama going on in this sky, isn't there? Right, there's a lovely... Just looking at my little watercolour. Watercolour. Done, by the way, in a fraction of the time that this oil painting is taking. But down at the bottom down there was some pink just towards the horizon. Yeah, I'm not using very many brushes this morning. We have 3 seasons in Queensland: wet, dry and steaming mountains. I love those steaming mountains, Terry. They're really magnificent. We get steaming mountains in Britain too, but there's something about them there on the Great Dividing Range, how the clouds roll in off the Coral Sea, hit the mountains and they steam. We see a little bit of that. Catherine Messenger will see that in the Lake District, where you get the steaming mountains around Helvellyn and stuff. Now, okay, I'm going to accentuate that highlights around here. Now then, where are they? I'm going to put in quite a big dollop of white into here. I'm using oil paints because I can. In my studio, it's nice to use oils. And when John Constable, I keep wanting to call him James Constable, but that's footballer. Beano, one of the great footballers for Oxford United, a fabulous player. One of the great things about John Constable, when he was painting outside, he was using his oil paints. Actually, he was loosening the paint quite a lot with turpentine. It just makes it move around the board a little easier. You'll see I'm painting in squiggles. You're getting the general idea of some brightness to the clouds. And then there's something going to happen down here. We'll see in a minute. It's nice to have your company this morning. Thank you very much for joining me. This is different. Usually when I'm painting in my studio, the only company I would have would be that train going round that you can see and hear, and perhaps I might have the radio on, and occasionally my pals turn up. It's not uncommon to have people dropping in for a chat. It is a little uncommon today. I would be quite surprised if I was to get many visitors today, and if I did, there'd have to be a little bit of that social distancing going on. I like the social distancing. I mean, this is an interesting experience of social distancing, isn't it? Who's watching from New Zealand? Ah, Mike. Greetings, Mike Govan in New Zealand. Whereabouts in New Zealand? Love to go. Never been to New Zealand. Would absolutely adore to go. Particularly, I think, cycle down the South Island. Working from home for the duration, says Matt Paris. Thanks for sharing this today. Thanks, Matt. Glad you're enjoying it. What do you do? What do you do, and how many jobs can be done from home? Turns out quite a lot, doesn't it? Now, I'm putting in some darkness here because to accentuate the light underneath there, I want some, that's it. That's a nice sky blue with a hint of purple. A light purple. Bit of terps in there. There's actually quite a lot of colour in here considering my palette is quite restricted. Tom Sadler, greetings. Last saw you at Windsor Theatre Panto. That was fun, wasn't it? I played the King in Jack and the Beanstalk. Enjoyed that. Alexander, do you prefer TV or radio? Ooh. Well, both have their places, don't they? There's an interesting thing going on at the minute. Radio audiences have grown, and so have TV, but I suspect not as much as the YouTube accounts, which have really taken over, haven't they? People watching YouTube now and finding what they want to see. Quite like this. I think it's rather nice to be able to do things like this at home. So, Constable Sky. Now then, you've got to anchor this. He painted most of his pictures, most of John Constable's paintings would be around Dedham Vale. Those are his famous ones. He also travelled quite a bit in Britain, and the reason for that is the continental blockade. So Napoleon's in charge in Europe, and Napoleon's got the ump with Britain. And so when Britain did a naval blockade, stopping all trade going to France, Napoleon retaliated by saying, well, Britain can't sell its products in Europe. God, it sounds like Brexit, doesn't it? It just sounds like Brexit. Do you remember those days? Oh yes, those dim and distant days, in the olden days when we worried about Brexit. I love it. Oh, great. So what was I talking about? Napoleon. Yeah, watching outside Winchester. Hello, Susan. Nice to see you. Like that part of the world. Great. I talk about cycling to Winchester down through Hampshire, Happy Hampshire, in my book, Utterly Brilliant, My Life's Journey. I talk about how gorgeous your part of the world is. So, Napoleon's got this blockade of Britain going on, no trade allowed, and everybody, you weren't allowed to travel. Weren't allowed to travel. Does this sound familiar? Life 200 years ago, you weren't allowed to go to Europe. So artists such as Constable and Turner, who had previously done what was called the Grand Tour, where you'd go off through Europe, through France, Italy, and Central Europe, seeing all the sights, seeing all the great works of art, chasing after all the girls, you know, that sort of thing. It's a gap year, isn't it? That's what they did. So they didn't do that anymore. They went and to find the great sights of Britain and discovered, wow, isn't the Lake District lovely? Wow, look at Snowdonia. Wow, look at the lowlands of Scotland. Oh my goodness, look how gorgeous Salisbury Plain is. Look at the spectacular south coast with all its fortifications going up in case Napoleon invaded. You can still see the Martello Towers along the south coast in Romney Marsh, Hythe and Dymchurch. You've got the White Cliffs, you've got beautiful East Anglia, you know, Suffolk and Norfolk. Oh, fabulous. Back in a second, what we got here? Enjoying the work, Marie. Met you a few years ago. Maidenhead United, yay! So, Julie Green, my 13-year-old, can watch Timmy art lesson available from the lockdown. Yep, absolutely. So, what were we talking about? Oh, you've distracted me now. I was talking about something. It was nearly important. Nearly interesting. Napoleon. That's right. So, artists said we can't go to mainland Europe, so we'll have a look at what's going on in Britain. And consequently, there are in the galleries of the UK some wonderful paintings from 200 years ago by these artists, Constable, Cotman, Turner, of places in and around the United Kingdom, and it's just wonderful to see the discovery of the beauties of Britain. They called it the Great Romantic period, where they would paint soaring landscapes and add a little bit of drama by making sure that they put in exciting new things. Oh, so people say, hey, I like the look of that. I better go on my holidays to East Anglia. So they did. And consequently, as the Industrial Revolution happened and we had railways developed and communications for industry, it also developed the tourist industry and people going off to discover how lovely their own home country is. So there's Napoleon thinking, right, I'll stop Britain travelling to Europe. And the Brit said, thanks very much, I really rather like what I can see at home. Now, the consequences of things are never obvious. I like it. So, that's what I was trying to say. I'm just going to put this down here for a second. No, I'll put it down there. I can reach it there easily. So, I've taken the palette out of my hand to work like this because, well, I talk with both hands, don't I? This is how I do it. So, at the bottom of this image is the horizon, and the horizon that I saw in this little watercolour I painted here, that little line of blue there, those are the final extensions of the Chiltern Hills, or the low rises either side of the Thames Valley. Due to go to the lakes in July. Hope we can still go, says Kelly Hope. Yeah, I hope we can. I hope we can. The thing is, we will be able to go. It's just maybe not when we had hoped. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. There's a lovely phrase somebody used this weekend. If you want to give God a laugh, tell him your plans. I think that's fantastic. Want to give God a laugh? Tell him your plans, because they'll all go to pot. It's brilliant. Brilliant. What a great line that is. Yeah, as I always say in the John Lennon song, it's called Boy. It's a song about Sean, his son. And he says, every day in every way, it's getting better and better. And I thought about that the other day, thinking, is it getting better and better with this lockdown? Well, in some ways it is, because we're getting to discover something new, aren't we? I'll come back to that in a moment. But there's that lovely line, life is what happens while you're busy making plans. Wow, what a great line. So you can make all the plans you like, but then life will happen and you won't be able to make those plans anymore. And you've seen this, haven't you? You know, when you make the phone calls over the weekend, we all did it, you know, you phone your friends, how are you getting on? How's the week been? How's week one of this lockdown gone for you? And people say, oh, yeah, we're coping, yeah. Tell you what, we discovered the garden, or the joy of conversation at meal times. Yeah, because you're sitting down and having meals together when you didn't. Why didn't you? Got to get that food down quickly because I've got something to do this evening. You haven't now, have you? Now, I can't remember where we were up to with this conversation. It's a little odd, this, isn't it? Because it's a one-way conversation. Let's make it two ways. Catherine. Ah, Beverly, greetings. Winning edge. Try to find the good thing in every situation. I've started ringing. Good. There's plenty to draw. Maybe we'll have a go one day at a still life. Wow, this sky's looking good. Now, you see here, I put this purple in here. This is my horizon on the edge of the Thames Valley. See that? That's my little watercolour sketch. Now, that line along there is quite flat. I've added a little bit of a hillock. 'Cause I can! And I want to add some more drama. Now, to bring us into this picture, I'm going to use the technique that Constable used when he was painting clouds above Hampstead Heath. He took a place to live in Hampstead Heath. Not in Hampstead Heath, in Hampstead. What a lovely part of London that is. Excuse me. Come back to that in a minute, Kelly. Yeah, what was I saying? Hampstead. Yeah, so he painted in Hampstead, and he would go up to Hampstead Heath morning or afternoon, and he'd take a walk with the 7 children. 7 kids! Oh my goodness! So what was life like before you had TV? We had 7 kids instead! Ah, right. And he would paint the light and shade. Light and shade. That's it. Light and shade brings us definition. It brings us what we're seeing across the valley. So across this valley, let's get a bit of turpentine onto that yellow. Right, I'll mix a little bit of yellow with sepia brown. That gives me not quite Naples yellow. It's a more greeny. So I'm using a lemon yellow, sepia, hint of emerald, just to give me some lighter green. Can I lean that there? No, it won't stay there. No, I'll put it there. Oh, put it up. Put it there, Mallet. Put it there. Okay, that's going to give me this nice green across the valley like this. Yeah, getting there. Because the valley right now, the fields, have got the very first hint of oilseed rape, that lovely electric yellow that Van Gogh would have absolutely adored. You know that if Van Gogh had lived 100 years later, that's what he would have painted. He would have painted those guys. So paint them. Because one of the things I've been thinking about, or I talked about when I cycled the Camino de Santiago, which, by the way, you can read about in Utterly Brilliant, My Life's Journey, which is selling very well. Lots of nice comments from people who are reading it. Thank you very much. I talk about that, about the fact that landscapes change. And maybe with Brexit, the yellow oilseed rape fields may go. They're not going to go this year because I'm seeing lots of them, seeing loads of fields planted up with it, because we're still abiding by EU rules, aren't we? Right, that's giving us a little bit of that hint across there. Right, Mark Foster, greetings. Hello, Mark. Greetings to the Mallets from me and Emily. Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for watching in today. Glad you're enjoying this. Right, I'm going to make sure I've got some light and shade going across here. Right, those artists. Constable and another set of artists who are the Dutch 17th century landscape painters. Ruysdael, de Kooning, Meendert Hobbema. How do I know these names? Well, this is stuff I read, it's stuff I'm interested in. I like these artists. We're not doing something brand new here, we're doing something that people have been doing for squillions of years. So don't feel like, oh, I'm inventing the wheel. You're not. Okay, there's a little bit of, I'm going to just give myself a little bit of highlight to some of those distant trees over there. Light and shade all the time. Now, what I should do here is take a little wander to the edge of my property. Hi from Richard, now living in Thailand. Richard Borthwick. Hello, Richard. I remember you. You used to live in Lincolnshire, near Mablethorpe. I've got a story about Mablethorpe. Hold it there. I'll come back to you. Right, stand at the edge of my studio. Ah, that's starting to look like it. That's starting to look like some drama. I've got a bit of Constable sky. It looks quite different from here. It's really interesting, this, because I take 3 steps over there and it just looks different. Now, Richard, you used to live in Mablethorpe, and I remember doing a show for you at your caravan park. It was a lovely caravan park, really nice. And you've left there now. That's a shame. I like that. I like that part of the world. Mablethorpe. So, here's the story. I was invited to Mablethorpe to switch on the lights. Sorry, somebody at the door. No, it's okay. It's just a delivery. Don't need to answer it. Been left on the doorstep. Good. Okay. What were we saying? Mablethorpe. Mablethorpe. Right. So, I'm invited to switch on the illuminations. Blackpool has illuminations. Loads of places have illuminations, including Mablethorpe. Look it up. It's halfway between Skeggy and somewhere else. And there was this function, so there's a civic reception, and the mayor did a little speech. Thank you, Rachel, I'm glad you're enjoying the train set. The mayor did a little speech, and he said, good evening everybody, we're delighted today to welcome Timmy Mallett to switch on the lights. Oh, well, thank you very much. Most of the time I'm known as Timmy Mallett, but that's very nice. Lovely to be here. In fact, I'd never actually been to Mablethorpe before today. Hey, famous! We're famous, we are. We were put on the map in 1953 when there was a massive storm and the whole town was devastated. And his wife goes, devastated, dear, devastated. He said, aye, well, that's an all. Oh, I love it. Devastated. Oh, devastated. Lovely Mablethorpe. So that's fantastic. Jeff, it's nice to have your company. My very good pal, Jeff Phone in Daventry. Jeff runs a brilliant printing company. If you need any printing doing, Jeff's your man. Absolutely sensational. And Jeff, welcome to Malletts Pallette. Thank you, Jeff, for that little tip. Very nice. Jeff also runs the Richard James Gallery. Now, the Richard James Gallery is brilliant. Richard's a fabulous artist of animals. He paints ducks and cattle, but they're funny. They're funny paintings that raise a smile. You'd always do with a smile these days. So I highly recommend Richard James Gallery and his art. He's a talented musician, Richard. Do you call him Richard? He's Paul James. Paul James. Sorry, I've got his name wrong. Paul James. And he's a talented musician, plays brilliant piano, sings good songs, very entertaining, like him very much. And so, good luck, Jeff, with the Paul James Gallery. Now, have you been to the Gower Coast or Tenby? Some fantastic scenery, says Gareth Morgan. It's God's own country, Saundersfoot, and the wonderful coastline of Tenby, Pembroke. I need a bit more of that light green in here. Yeah, I have. We spent a lovely holiday 20 years ago in Saundersfoot. Rented a nice house right on the beach. Stepped out of the back door through the garden gate, and there's the pebbles of the beach, and we had a barbecue and fried up the mackerel that had come from the local market that morning, fresh off the line, just delightful. And there's a lovely little cycle ride to be done there. Very good this all times of year, but particularly when the wild garlic is out through the woods. That lovely pungent smell. Wild garlic just about to begin. Comes out roughly at the same time as the bluebells, which are about 2 weeks away, because that bright warm week last week has made a difference. Just a moment, excuse me. Saundersfoot's lovely, I agree. But 1 second. So, stand back 3 steps, and what do you see? Yeah, I'm seeing sunlight and shadow. And what I need to do Does this, will this, oh yuck, hang on. So step it forward like that. Can you see? What do you think? Right. It's got drama to that sky. That sky is really looking something. I'm happy with that. Right, want some nice purple into here. Yeah, okay. Now, let me have a look at this sky. 1 second, I'm going to take a little step back. Thank you very much, Gareth. I'm glad you're enjoying what it looks like. And we'll get some thumbs up or thumbs down in a minute as to how this is looking. Right, okay, yes. I tell you what's bothering me. That line there, that line. It's weird, isn't it? I see that line and it doesn't look quite right, so it's going to go. Do you see? I like the way that with paintings, if you don't like something, you can go over it. So what do you think Constable would have said about this? He'd have wanted me to have done all this outside on location. Well, I did. That was my little sketch. The fact that you can take watercolours with you wherever you go and work up a bit of that is nice. Now, I'm going to try something here. See these fingers? Interesting, isn't it? I don't know. I'm trying it to see if it's going to work. Nice. Stick your tongue out. Anyway, that's why I've got a jacket on here. Now, brush. Where's the brush? Brush. I don't want that one. I want a brush that's going to be the right brush. That's too old. See, I've got a brush here, and it's a bit mank, that. Yeah, I've had that about 20 years. You can use something different. What about that one? It's a bit frayed, isn't it? It's a bit of a mess. What do you think, Julie? You enjoying that? Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the chatter. My 4-year-old Luke says he thinks it's great. Thanks, Luke. I like a good art critic. A good art critic is essential. Right, a little bit of sky blue. Okay, I'm going to add a bit of this sky blue into here. It's probably, that is possibly just a bit too bright. I rather like that darker blue I had before. I'm just working them into each other, just to see. No, Mallet, that's just wrong. Wrong. Take that out. Okay. Right, we'll go with this instead. Don't like that blue either. Oh, I've messed this up now. Why did I do that? It was fine. It's fine. There was no. Oh look, that's just a. Oh, bother. Where shall I put that? Don't tell anybody, I made a mess there. Right, now then. Blue. I had that, it was a better blue than that. Which blue did I use? I had a bit of, which blue did I have? You've got to keep an eye on these things. Which one's that? Oh, that's the primary cyan. That might work. Yeah. Primary cyan. Yeah, that'll do. I'll put that in. I'm going to mix it with the other one. And I'll fix this blue up. Can't believe I made a mess like that. Why did I ruin that? It was fine before. There was nothing wrong with it. And now I've gone and done that. No, that's better. That's what I wanted it to do. That's what I wanted out of this sky now. Excuse me, just going to take a little walk. Look over here. A little bit of that into there. It's getting thicker and thicker, this paint. It'll take longer and longer to dry. But then, you know what? It's not as if we're going anywhere. Doesn't matter how long it takes, does it? Oh, I've lost all confidence in you now, says Gavin Clark. Well, I don't care, mate. I don't care. This is about experimenting and trying things and seeing if they work. Now, I'm happy with that, but what I am going to do to make this last little bit work is I'm going to put some strong white into here. Ah, there it is. There's me white. Right, darker white. That's nice. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I like this. Oh, this is fun. Yep. Now that's feeling more like it. That's feeling better. Okay, you talk amongst yourselves and I'll just get this right now because I'm almost there. I'm feeling very good with this. Ah, startling. Right then. It's midday. We've been painting for an hour. Now, what do you think? If I hold this up, then you'll get it straight on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wide awakers, a sky such as John Constable might have painted 200 years ago, painted this morning, Malletts Pallette, in my studio. What do you think? Any good? Vote now. Thank you. Vote now. Any more? Any more? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop with this one right now. And I feel like that's done something. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for those nice comments. Appreciate that. really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed your company. It's been such a pleasure to have you with me. And if you like, we might do this again tomorrow. What do you think? Because I've got an idea about some bluebells. The important thing is to do it, is to do these paintings. If you feel inspired, get the watercolours out, the acrylics, the oil paints, whatever you've got, and have a go. And remember, it's just doing it. And it's not as if you've got anything else to do, is it? There's nothing else to do apart from this. So, this is Timmy saying thanks for watching, thanks for being part of my life. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Bye!